right, we got a good topic today. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. If we haven't met, I'm Michael, and I created Overland Bound because I believe adventure is necessary, and clearly you agree. You're out here hanging out with me. Today, we've got a great topic. Have you ever wondered how you would plan to leave it all behind, jump in your rig and not look back? How would you live a life on the road? It's not surprising you may have had those thoughts. It's in our DNA. It's what we do. Humans are best when we are innovating, solving problems, and encountering the unexpected. What's beyond the horizon? That's why we need adventure. Well, our friends Brett and Liz felt that call of the wild so strongly that they decided to create a plan and actually make it happen. They've been on the road for a little bit over a year, and we had the opportunity to stop and talk to them and ask them how they did it and what it's like. So let's talk to Brett and Liz and see how they planned a full-time life of adventure on the road.
I'm Brett, and
I'm Liz.
We are Our Overland Life, and we travel with our three pups, Leica, Dublin, and...
Well, this is Leica.
And Maisie.
And Maisie.
We've been traveling full-time on the road since February 2019, so almost a year.
Almost a year. That's probably different for both of us. So mine was probably about 3-4 years ago when we were looking at our vintage Airstream that we have. So we got that, and I was already like, I want to live on the road full-time in our Airstream. So probably 3-4 years ago for me.
Yeah, and it was a progression for us because we started overlanding, traveling, camping, week-long trips while we were doing that project to build the Airstream.
Because we had to like fully kind of renovate it. It was usable, but we ended up redoing the kitchen and completely redoing the whole thing over like 3 years. So while we were doing that, we also were like, we need to get out every weekend too.
So it was kind of a release from the remodel project, was to go out and go overlanding and go camping. And so that kind of grew more and more. We knew we wanted to hit the road full time, but we thought we were going to do it with the Airstream and travel with that. And when we hit the road, we did have the Airstream at the beginning for the first couple of months, and we just couldn't get remote enough. We couldn't get far enough. It took too long to travel, tear the thing down, set it up. And we were just, we'd already built the flip pack out to travel as well, because we knew we'd be taking more trips with it. And then we just ended up putting the Airstream in storage and just taking the truck. We started off, when we bought the Airstream, we had a massive 3,700 square foot house, great neighborhood, big 4.5 car garage.
Wish we had filled up.
And we started realizing that we didn't need all that stuff. We started kind of selling stuff off, and then we realized we didn't quite need a house that size either. So we sold that house, got rid of a bunch of stuff then. And then as we were getting closer to leaving, we knew we weren't going to be living in a house anymore, so we sold everything.
Well, initially we were like, well, should we store it? Like, this whole house, tons of stuff. And we were kind of looking at storage costs, and it was like, it's not really worth it to store it for the year or however long we'd end up deciding to be out. So we're like, we'll just sell it and kind of free ourselves of all of the extra things.
After it's all done, there's liberating, freeing feeling of all this stuff is just gone. Most of it, I don't even remember the stuff we have. Yeah. I don't miss it. I
did find myself trying to like find ways to keep things, like hold on to them, or like, no, like, but I might want this. Like, what if I want this again? Like, where are we going to get another bed? Anywhere.
Conversation started with a 5-year plan to get out of debt. We had a photography business in Southern California. We moved to Arizona for a sales position job for me, which we knew would pay pretty well, but I was not going to enjoy. And so we set a 5-year goal. We had massive student loan debt. We had to knock that out.
Yeah, so we knocked out the student loan debt and the car debt, and then that was about year 3. We also decided at that point to sell the big house and downsize to the smaller house. So that also was part of it. We bought the smaller house because we were like, well, if this whole road life thing doesn't work out, or we may get out there and like a few months in, it's really not for us. We kind of wanted to have something we could like physically go back to. So that was why we decided like, let's go ahead and get another smaller house.
Yeah, so we kind of segmented our funds out into this is the money we have to travel with. This is our get your butt back to work fund that we're not kind of touching. It's just often some little small investments. So we have our money we can spend, and then we have a separate car fund in case the truck goes down or something breaks or whatever. We have a vehicle specific fund that is also just for that. So we kind of have this main account, and when it's done, it's time to go back to work. But we've been pretty lucky and fortunate this year. We've picked up a couple of photography jobs as well. So as long as money keeps coming in and we can find ways to stay on the road, our goal is to stay on the road as long as we can. I think the biggest financial advice, and it's still something we're working through as well, but if you can find a job or a work remote aspect, there's more and more jobs that they're allowing people that if you have a cell phone connection, Starbucks internet, and you can go work for a few hours a day or whatever it is that job requires, then you can stay on the road a lot longer. They can pay you remotely. They've got mail services now for your mail that can be delivered to the closest city you're in. So, having that initial amount of money saved up to do the trip is obviously important, but, we're not trust fund babies. You have to keep working to stay out. So it's finding that balance and finding, a job and a career that will fund you while you do this. And it's surprisingly, you don't have a mortgage. It's less expensive to be out here. You can't for free. I mean, there's so much, especially in the US, there's so much free places to stay that your expenses are a lot lower. So you don't need to make as much.
Fuel is still expensive though. That's our biggest expense.
I guess that's the other piece of advice. The slower you move, the less miles you do a day, the more you stay put and enjoy a beautiful spot, the longer you're going to be able to keep doing it.
Which we're still working on that because we're not very good at that.
No.
We move a lot. So we need to work on like slowing down, finding places where we can just kind of like camp for a few days or a week and like hike and explore more. So that's a goal.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to figure out how to slow down.
Yeah, when we hit the road, we didn't really plan a lot, I guess, which is like, we kind of just generally planned like a week in advance where our travels would go. So like, we'd be like, hey, let's go to Moab. Okay, we've been in Moab for 2 weeks. Let's go, where do you want to go next? Like, oh, let's go up towards Salt Lake City and let's go up towards Idaho. So it's like, so planning for next year, that's like, I don't know, we'll just kind of go where we go.
We left our plans really loose on purpose for the whole year because you run into people, you meet people, there's a fluidity to travel, and you meet somebody, another traveling couple or, other travelers. Have you been here?
Or
have you tried this? Have you seen
somebody
that?
recommends something for an area, they're like, hey, have you been to this hike? Like, you have to go here, you have to go see these waterfalls. And so it's like, oh, well, let's go do that for the next 3 days, and then we'll go head the direction we were going to head.
Yeah, if you're not on a schedule, and then you don't have to be anywhere, then you can just be free to explore stuff as it comes up and find new things. So that's kind of...
We found that to be less stressful than like having to plan everything out and be like, we have to be at this park by this date, or we have to be at this campsite by this date. It was like having it fluid. It's been less stressful.
It's been great.
A little behind the scenes, one of the biggest decisions to make was just to do it. Once you make that decision, then other pieces start to fall into place. I hope you guys really enjoyed hanging out with Brett and Liz, enjoyed the video. Of course, hit that subscribe button, that really helps us out. Hit that bell if you want notifications when I release a new video. We've got some great stuff coming out. Tips, tricks, how you overland, things that you need to know. And if you really want to help us out, go over to overlandbound.com and consider becoming an Overland Bound member. We have a worldwide community of over 20,000 members, and we'd love to have you as a member of the crew. You can get a hold of me over on the forums, overlandbound.com/forums. I'm glad to answer any of your questions because I want to see you get out there on the trail. All right, you guys, until next time, outfit and explore. See you around.